Hello, my name is Karen Asgarali, and a couple of years ago I was traveling with my family and I was brainstorming what could I do to, one, help those people who had approached me and told me that they had stories they wanted to share. How could I provide a platform for them to share their inspiring stories and in turn inspire other people into taking action and moving their lives forward? And so I came up with the idea of a series of books entitled Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day. And it was my intention that every one of these books would have 10 plus 1 stories. Of course, each book will have a slightly different subtitle. And the first book is titled Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day, 10 plus 1 stories to warm your heart. And that book, I think it really was a wonderful way to start off a series. And don't take my word for it, let's hear what some of the reviewers had to say. And so Dr. Darin Sukha, who is a lecturer attached to the Cocoa Research Center at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, Trinidad, he said that Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day presents inspiring stories of the indomitable resilience of the human spirit. It carries the reader on a soulful journey towards introspection with a keen desire to give thanks for life's simple mercies and blessings. I think that he effectively captured the essence of Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day. And then we had a contribution, a review done by Dr. Gabrielle Hosein, who at the time was the lecturer and head associate editor of the Caribbean Review of Gender Studies, CRGS, attached to the Institute of Gender and Development Studies, IGDS, at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus. And she had this to say: "This is an inspiring collection drawn from the remarkable lives around us. They remind that each of us struggles, but that faith, community, and courage can provide a path from hurts and doubts to dreams of healing and peace, success, societal improvement, and self-love." She went on to say that Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day leaves you feeling warmed, comforted, and grateful for the guidance quietly offered by each of these humbling stories. So, if we go by what they had to say so far, these stories in Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day, 10 plus 1 stories to warm your heart, seem to have captured the essence of what the book was intended to be about. Let's hear another one from Dr. Joy Mahabir, Professor of Caribbean Literature, Suffolk County Community College of the State University of New York, USA. And this is what Dr. Joy Mahabir had to say. "Like the fine flavor cocoa of the verdant valleys of Trinidad, these stories are full of depth and complexity and are touched by the sweetness of resilience. The editor, Karen Asgarali, has assembled a collection focused on everyday experiences where challenges are met with personal courage and community support. As we read these accounts, we are inspired by the strength of the writers and their unique methods of overcoming hardships." So what her review brought out is that I am the editor, so I collected the stories, but some of the stories I may have written, we also had other people writing their own stories in this edition. So that's 3 people with some really wonderful words, and I give them thanks for their reviews, their positive reviews of Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day. And then there is this other one, simple yet straight to the point. And this one was by Candice Campbell. She's a broadcaster in Trinidad, and this one says, "As the name suggests, Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day is an easy, comforting, satisfying read that will surely bless your heart when you need that extra little bit of upliftment or encouragement. Hot cocoa is a sweet reminder that we are never alone in our experiences in this life. I loved how she played on hot cocoa and sweet reminder, because that really was the intention behind the title, Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day. And finally we come to one, and this one is from someone who is attached to, she's a BSc holder, agricultural officer, and more importantly, a cocoa specialist. And her name is Merle Seedial, and Merle had this to say: hot cocoa on a rainy day has characters whose courage, perseverance, and determination made them stand tall, just like when cocoa was king in Trinidad's history. The cocoa industry, once thriving, faced a myriad of problems but was resilient and weathered the storms. Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day's characters all did the same when faced with their challenges. So in this anthology, whether by design or not, the characters and situations are intertwined and connected in many ways, from San Fernando to cocoa estates, drinking cocoa tea, churches and schools, dormitories and classrooms. The stories and true bonding evolved. Cocoa and friendships connected Cedros and Rio Claro, two villages on opposite ends of the island. And you'll see that when you start reading. The first story is based in Rio Claro, and somewhere down the line we have a story by Mr. Winston Ducaran where he had his origins in Rio Claro, but he became friends with someone whose life touched his own. And I'm so proud to say that he was speaking of my own father, Joseph Sinanan, who came from Cedros. So we had the connection from Rio Claro to Cedros, opposite ends of the island, connected through these stories. But she went on to say, Merle Seedial, agricultural officer and cocoa expert, went on to say, standing out, however, is the shining thread of faith in God weaved throughout the tapestry in Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day. And just like cocoa fermenters and chocolatiers bring out the fine flavor of the beans, so too the writers brought out the best of the characters for us. Merle went on to say, this is a must-read for inspiration and motivation. So I want to thank all those reviewers for their wonderful words. And it didn't stop there, because we also had a contribution in the form of the foreword from teacher extraordinaire, literature teacher nonetheless, Mr. Rodney Yamin Ali, who taught for many years at the San Fernando, formerly Government Secondary School, now known as the San Fernando Central Secondary School. And Mr. Yamin Ali had some wonderful words to say. I'm not going to read all of the foreword, but I'm going to read a little piece of it, because at the beginning he spoke about his relationship with me as a colleague and why he was able to accept the call to do some of the work with me on this project. So Mr. Yamin Ali started off the foreword with an original quotation, and he said, "Espy with your mind's eye the divine treasures within, faith and courage to enlighten your darkling soul. Espy with your mind's eye the divine treasures within, faith and courage to enlighten your darkling soul." Of course, you can tell that he is a literature teacher. And so he went on to encourage readers by telling us that from childhood we have been regaled by stories of heroes, from comic book Cape Crusaders to swashbuckling movie heroes, great for entertainment and fleeting catharsis, but real heroism is when seemingly regular, everyday individuals are tempered and transformed in life's crucible into extraordinary people. When challenges and situations threaten to consume them, they are tested in solitude, in pain, in moments that bring them to tears or to their knees in private agony. And sometimes you wonder, how how do people find the courage, inspiration, and nerve to walk life's treacherous paths? To be quiet, sometimes unsung heroes? Well, he urges, read on to find out and sing their praises. These stories live up to the title of the book. They're all inspirational works of spiritual and physical revelations that bring us to a warm, safe place, that tell us we too can struggle and survive. And there is no doubt that with help from the divine, we will make it. If we could only hold on for one more day, one more hour, the next minute. And he ended with a quotation from an anonymous writer. When you are too weak to even clutch at a straw, he reaches out and grabs you by faith. That brings us to a dedication to all of our everyday heroes in this first edition of Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day. And it's found at the front of the book. When the sun rises slowly, accompanying the harmonious melody of the birds as they whisk by from tree branch to tree branch, we know the dawn of a new day is upon us. It is in that moment our heroes are born, rising to face a day filled with adventures unknown. Some glorious, some gory, some grim, they rise still with courage, strength, and resilience, inspiring all who have the privilege to witness their grace in spite of it all. To all those heroes who inspire us daily simply by their existence, we thank you, everyday heroes. We thank you, heroes of Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day, 10+1 stories to warm your heart. And our heroes in this edition, in this volume of Hot Cocoa on a Rainy Day, include Sabita Maiku, cocoa farmer extraordinaire; Zaida Mohammed Jimda, now deceased; fighter extraordinaire; Alex; Lynette Sunanan, my mother extraordinaire. And we have A.C. Lang, Janine Gervais, Linda Banks-Can, Deborah Milad, Winston Ducaran, a story written by me about Mr. Terence Boissier and the Marabella Family Crisis Center, and finally a story written by Mark Ramlal, who is the founder of, or the owner of, founder of Custom Graphics, who is responsible for the beautiful, inviting cover on the books, on the Hot Cocoa books. So that's it for now. In the next session, we'll delve into the introduction and perhaps a little bit into the first story. So I hope you listen out for this series, and thank you for listening.